today we're going to talk about chapter 8. Reason I asked you guys to bring your book is because we're going to do this a little different today partly because of the nature of this chapter. It's one that you would have a harder time sitting down and just reading because of how it's got a lot of tables, it's got a lot of charts, and the way we're going to do this is we're going to go through it, and I'm just going to point and let people read the parts. So read loud enough that everybody can hear you, and that way you'll be engaged and know kind of where we are. That's another thing that will help with this. So chapter 8, a lot of what we do, well, let me share my screen for the ones at home. Okay, chapter 8, it's talking about health behavior, change, theories, and models. Again, who's had my classes before and heard me say I don't really love talking about theories and models, but they are useful, okay? That's why we're going to spend some time on it. Plus, you know, there'd be some test questions that come from it too, because there is useful knowledge here. But when you think about recreation therapy, part of what we do with the prescribed activities that we do, and you got to remember that that's something that, you know, without it being for a reason, you're not really doing recreation therapy. So a lot of the things that we prescribe as activities are going to be cases of trying to get people to improve their health through changing their behavior. So it may be in kind of a motivational way that we go about that, but we're trying to improve their health and well-being. So that's where we're talking about health behavior change. We want them to be more fit. We want them to, let's say, not smoke, you know, not do the illicit drugs that they were doing that got them to rehab, things like that. We're wanting to get them to a better place and a more healthy place. So I'm not going to read through those. We will get to them as we go. So when we think about these health behavior change models that you've got in front of you here, everything that we do, whether you realize it or not, you kind of do a cost benefit analysis. You know, what if I do this, how is it going to benefit me? But to do that, what am I going to have to give up to get it done? Time, always, is something you're going to give up. Money may be something that you have to spend for an experience, things like that. So there's a cost benefit analysis, and if you think about it, you do that on almost everything you do in some form or fashion. So when we're talking about people changing their health for the better, they're going to go through that process. You know, how do I benefit from this? And, you know, how much am I going to struggle from doing this? You know, might be the other way that they're looking at it. We'll talk about some problems or barriers that are encountered when we're trying to get someone or trying to help someone with behavioral health change. We'll talk a little bit about the best type of assessment questions, where people are, depending on where they are. Do you remember one of the, in our last class, we talked about the trans-theoretical model, and it was the continuum where you don't want to change, you hadn't even thought about it, all the way down to pre-contemplation and then action. And that, depending on where a person is in the continuum of behavior change, the way you assess them, talk to them, may need to differ, and we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll describe some interventions that are most likely to produce behavioral change in the most direct route possible, which is what we want. You know, not saying we just want to just make them get it in a week, you know. So, but you don't want to go around the world when you don't have to. So most direct route possible is a good thing. And then it will also, these health behavior change models are going to help us evaluate whether our interventions are effective and for whom they were effective. So we can see a pattern perhaps of individuals that we're being more effective with than others, and that helps us learn where we need to improve. If we're seeing more, positive effects in female clients than males, then maybe we need to look at how we're addressing people, or there's something that's causing that. So we want to dive in and figure out what's going on there. So the health behavior change models, health belief model, stages of change or trans-theoretical model, which you're already familiar with, we talked about in the last class, theory of reasoned action, theory of planned behavior, social cognitive theory, precaution adoption process model. Okay, that is a bunch of words, and I'm not, I don't want y'all to have to sit here and just memorize each one of them, everything about them, but I do want you to be familiar with them. So that's why we're going to spend the time talking about the different ones as we go through. So, table 8.1 is on page 127. If you got a book, get to 127 for me. All right, Mr. Ross. Tell us about look at table 8.1, go to focus, and tell us what the focus of the health belief model is. Loud enough that everyone can hear you, please.
Individuals' perceptions of the threat posed by a health problem, the benefits of avoiding the threat, and factors influencing the decision to act.
So, how does the person feel about what you're talking to them about, basically, in layman's terms? Their perception. Some people, I'm just going to use smoking. I've smoked cigarettes before years ago. Some people see themselves as more invincible than others. Oh, it's not going to hurt me. No big deal. How much do they perceive what is going on to be a threat? How much did I perceive my excess weight to be a threat when I found out that I was in the diabetic range? That jumped on me and made me change a lot. So I perceived it through this health belief model. I believed that the way I was eating was causing a great threat of health problems to me. So I took it very seriously, and therefore I had a lot of success because of that belief. And that's something that we need to realize, that the people that we're working with are going to have that same thing. Some people are going to see, being overweight, being inactive, smoking, drinking, etc., as being not much of a threat. Therefore, they won't be very motivated to change. Now, it's not our role as a recreation therapist to try to clean up everybody's act and say, you can't eat too much and you got to get moving and you can't smoke and you can't drink. And, we're not that person. But most people that we work with are coming to us needing or wanting help. And that may be some of the things that they need or want help with. So in that situation, we're going to try to help them. We're going to talk about the key concepts a little bit on these as well, but let's run through. Next, Miss Kimberly can tell us about the stages of change model or trans-theoretical model.
Individuals' motivation and readiness to change a problem behavior.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. Where do they stand on that continuum? Are they ready to change? Do they want to change? Are they there? Are they already changing? Okay, theory of planned behavior and the theory of reasoned action. You have your book?
Yeah, the individual's attitudes toward a behavior, perceptions of norms, and beliefs about the ease or difficulty of changing.
Okay, that's something that you got to think about. How easy is it going to be to change? It's something that people are going to actually think. You know, that goes with that kind of pros and cons situation. How easy is it to quit smoking for people that have smoked for a long time? Not. Not easy at all. I've seen so many people try to quit for a little while and pick them back up. Quit, pick them back up. It's just hard to, you know, they're going to realize that, and that's part of what plays into that. All right, precaution adoption process model. Out of order from the slide. You have yours, Ann?
Yeah.
Okay.
Individuals journey from lack of awareness to action and maintenance.
Okay. So lack of awareness, just kind of a common theme here. Y'all seeing where, like with the trans theoretical model, the very top one, they were unaware that they needed to change. They haven't even thought about changing. And there's a journey from a lack of awareness to an actual action that will help them to improve their behavior and health. So they're going to be somewhere on that pathway. You know, I called it a continuum. You can call it a journey from no urge to change, no information telling them. You know, if it's someone with developmental disabilities or something like that, they may not realize that they're putting themselves in harm's way with things that they're doing or not doing. Social cognitive theory. Courtney.
Personal factors, environmental factors, and human behavior exert influence on each other.
Okay. Personal factors, environmental factors, and human behavior exert influence on each other. Let's go back to smoking again. People quit smoking, they do good for 3 or 4 days, and then what happens? They do good during the week, and then on Friday night they get a call, and somebody asks them, hey, you want to go out tonight? Then what happens? They go out, they start drinking, and they pick it up, like pick one right back up and start right back. That is a cue where your personal factors, your environment, and what people are doing around you / peer pressure play a role in this stuff. Okay, without digging too deeply into this, in this health belief model, it's got some different components. And this is from the patient's point of view right here. Perceived susceptibility. You know, how vulnerable am I to getting cancer from smoking cigarettes? That's how, you know, what would they perceive it at different levels for each person. If someone sees it as a dire, you know, like, hey, this stuff is going to kill me, they're going to be easier to work with as far as changing. And I'm sorry I'm using that as it's just the easiest first one that popped into my head because it's something that people are trying to stop all the time. Perceived severity. Well, I only smoke a pack a day. That's really not bad. I had a grandma that smoked 4 packs a day. You know, I don't think it's that bad. Are they going to be easy? They're justifying what they're doing. So that's part of what you got to think about. Perceived benefits in changing the behavior. Okay, if I stop doing this, what am I going to see as benefits? Well, I'm going to save some money. Hopefully my breathing will become better. I will become, you know, a little more fit. I'm probably going to, then you got perceived barriers. All right, what's going to stop me from doing that? Well, my friend Tom comes over every Thursday. He smokes like a train. Am I going to, is that a barrier? Can be. That social influence is huge, y'all, on things that we have to do in regards to our health and, well, anything, really. People are, you know, kind of like lions. We travel in packs and do the same things, you know, and that's, you rub off on each other. So you've always heard the thing about who you hang around with is going to have a lot to do with how you turn out and things like that. It's true in a lot of cases. Cues to action. You know, what's it going to take to make someone go on that continuum to be like, all right, I got to do something. My cue to action with trying to lose weight was when I got the phone call from the nurse thinking they were going to say, hey, everything's good. And they didn't call and say, hey, everything's good. They were like, hey, fatty. I thought that was rude for them to call and start that way. But anyway, that was a call to action for me right there. And then self-efficacy. Where does a person sit as far as their own thought process? Am I going to be able to do this? Can I change? Can I make this change? They have to believe. That's like a self-belief. They have to believe that they are able to get it done. Deshaun, is that you? All right. Let me talk to you after class, okay? How you doing? Everyone, meet Deshaun. He's part of class too. He's a little late start to the semester, but we're gonna get him there. Yeah, I called your name out every day for the first little while, and I was just like, I was putting check marks by everybody, and I was like, I started to just scratch them all. All right, let's move on. We're talking about changing as recreation therapists, trying to help our patients to improve their health. Is kind of it, and that's part of our role, is helping them improve their life. And in a lot of cases, it may be through helping them increase activity, quit smoking, things like that. And that's kind of, we're talking about some different models and theories. And you came in on kind of a rough class, because this is stuff that we're just trying to go through this chapter together and using the book. And this is the first time we've done this the whole semester. So y'all can tell him at the end that it's really not usually this bad, okay? So, stages of change or trans-theoretical model components. Let's see here. I keep covering up my notes and my table 8.3. And even the stuff that I just talked about on the previous slide, that's on table 8.2. All of this stuff is broken down as far as the concepts, the definitions, and how it affects what they're going to do. So, table 8.3. This one's pretty short. And this y'all remember, this one is kind of review, so I'm going to try to go through it as quick as I can. Trans-theoretical model is where we were talking about before. It starts at the pre-contemplation. They haven't even thought about trying to make a change that's going to make their health or well-being better. They're just moving right along, plugging the way that they're going. In pre-contemplation, they have no intention of taking action within the next 6 months. Okay? In contemplation, what's happened, they intend to take action in the next 6 months. So as recreation therapists, something we can do is help motivate them, encourage, and help them make specific plans that they can do within the next 6 months, now that they've deemed it as something necessary to help them be better and get better. Now, let me go back to that. In the pre-contemplation phase, you know, they're not planning on making any changes, right? So what we can do as recreation therapists and our potential change strategies, we can increase their awareness of the need for change, personalize information about risks and benefits. So we kind of tell them some facts. And like I say, sometimes we may have to be kind of the bad guy, where we say, look, you know this isn't good for you. And I'm not picking on you, and I'm not being mean to you. I want the best for you. That's why I'm here. And that's yeah, you're calling them out, but you're calling them out in a way that they know that you care about them, and that's important. And we have to be that bad guy every once in a while to get someone's attention, maybe to get them to jump from this pre-contemplation to contemplation, where they're actually saying, yeah, I'm gonna do something about this. I'm gonna start in May. You know, people like to set a little time down the road where they can enjoy what they're doing just a little while longer. You know, it's kind of like New Year's resolutions. Oh, when January 1st comes, I'm gonna get on it. You put it off and enjoy what you're gonna do for that last little bit. So then preparation. At this point, they intend to take action within the next 30 days and have already taken some behavioral steps in this direction. This is all about getting to a healthier place, stopping something that is unhealthy, something like that. During that time, what we would do is assist with developing and implementing concrete action plans, help them to actually set up a plan that's going to help them succeed. Help set gradual goals. What's important about that? They're going to be achievable. When we're setting gradual goals, step goals, they're going to see success. If you set it too far, it's failure, they drop all the way back down to the bottom. If you put it in small steps, they go up 3 steps and they fail on that next one, hey, they only going to go down 1 step because they've had some successes along the way. You know what I mean? They have it. It's not just all or nothing. That's the way I kind of look at that one. Okay, action. At this point, you've got an overt change in behavior or a clear change in behavior for the better. It's been going on for less than 6 months. That's kind of just a time frame. It's still kind of new, but it's a big change, and it's actually happening. At this point, we're going to give them some feedback, positive feedback, hopefully, negative if necessary, if we need to be the mean guy that day or the mean girl. Problem solving, if they come to us saying, man, I'm struggling with getting up every morning and getting that workout in before I have to go to work, or, whatever it may be, we try to come up with some sort of problem solving, brainstorming with them. Again, they're going to see that we're on their team when we're doing that. Give them social support and reinforcement, which may just be a pat on the back and say, hey, you're doing good. I'm proud of what you're doing. Keep it up. You don't realize how much that means to some people, because a lot of folks don't get any of that, have never really gotten it. So attaboy means a lot to a lot of people. And then we get to the maintenance portion, where someone has actually changed their behavior for more than 6 months. At that point, you're getting to a pretty long time. You're kind of hitting routine. Once you get to 6 months, you're kind of getting used to what you're doing, and you're over the hump, in large degree. So at that point, we will assist with coping, give them some reminders, find some alternatives that may be better than what they were doing before. Avoid slips and relapses as applicable. Try to help them, stay out of situations or around things that would be a trigger to them. And then termination, that's just basically saying at that point, it has become something that they have long-term control over, and they have kind of mastered this. And that's the trans-theoretical model broken down fully. Y'all should remember that one and kind of know how that one goes. And again, that's one that I actually really like, that model. It's a good one because it's so easy to follow top to bottom, and you know how we all go from that. You start out when you're going to have a change, you're not all the time thinking you need to change what's going on. So you're in that top, and then you work your way down. So constructs, again, when we're talking about changing someone's health behavior for the better, what are they going to think about again? The pros and the cons. So what are my benefits of changing? And I'm on table 8.4 now. And the cons, what are the costs of changing? What is it going to cost me to change this? Am I going to lose friends over this? Am I going to not enjoy life as much? You know, they're going to weigh these. And sometimes we need to give them a pep talk to tell them, hey, the pros outweigh those cons now. You need to remember that. People need to hear that, and it may need a little bump sometimes. Another construct that they talk about here, and it has to do with self-efficacy, which is someone's belief of whether or not they can do this, period. Confidence and temptation. And confidence is just the confidence that one can engage in the healthy behavior across different challenging situations. I can go to the bar and be around people drinking and smoking and not do it. Well, that doesn't really happen anymore. You can't smoke in a bar anymore, can you? Well, that used to be the case. Sorry, I dated myself with this whole thing. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I was thinking back in the day, you know, you go to the bar, everybody's smoking, and they pick it up. Anyway, they have to have confidence in their self that they can get in situations, or that they can be around Tom, who is going to be smoking, because he's smoking every time I see him. Am I going to be able to not do this? You know, they need to have confidence there. Temptation. What is the temptation to engage in the unhealthy behavior across different challenging situations? Am I going to be able to overcome the temptation? And am I confident in that I can do this? That's what those constructs are about right there. So there's some processes of change, some stages of change are the components of the trans-theoretical model. Again, we're still on the same one, and I don't mind that because this is a good one that I actually like. So you got to think about someone has no interest in changing their behavior for the better. There's going to be a consciousness raising that needs to happen. They need to realize that there needs to be a change. So we may help them with raising their consciousness level of what you're doing is harmful, or you could do this and help yourself a lot. Dramatic relief, self-reevaluation, where the person has to actually think about their self during the process and where they stand physically and mentally. Environmental reevaluation. Do I need to put myself in this situation? Do I need to go to Tom's house on Thursday? Is that going to be something I need to change? Social liberation. That's realizing that the social norms are changing in the direction of supporting the healthy behavior change. As a whole, I have seen through the years, as evidenced by what we just talked about, like people not being able to smoke in bars and things like that now. We're in Mississippi, so you can't look around and see it quite as much. But in a lot of ways, you know, there are some societal norms and changes that have been done to make people healthier to a degree. Things like that are positive. And that's what it's talking about there. Self-liberation, making a firm commitment to change. Helping relationships. Do you have a good social support to help you with your behavior change? How important is that? Do you need support to really stick with something? If you're starting to work out, you need that accountability partner, or can you do it by yourself? Most people need that person to say, get your tail out of bed, let's go. I know you don't want to do it today, I don't want to do it either. But we'll be glad when we get done. You know, you got that support system, you got that built-in buddy system going there. Counter conditioning, what that's about, A big old long word. It just means substituting healthier alternative behavior and thoughts for unhealthy behavior and thoughts. Makes sense. Let's move along on this. I would like to get through this today if we could. Theory of reasoned action and the theory of planned behavior components. So, table 8-7. Find that for me. So, we're going to start in the back this time. Asia, you have your book? All right. We're going to talk about behavioral intention. I want you to tell me what the definition of behavioral intention is, and then what, and that'll work. You just tell me what behavioral intention's definition is as far as this theory.
Behavioral intention, perceived likelihood of performing behavior.
Okay, how likely is it to happen or not? Are you likely or unlikely to perform the behavior? That's all that is. All right, attitude, you have yours? Okay.
Personal evaluation of the behavior.
We all know what attitude is. It's your own thoughts, feelings. Sometimes attitude is when somebody's, mad about something and gives you attitude, but we're talking about your attitude, your personal evaluation of the behavior. What's your attitudes about what's going on? Do you see it as good, bad, or neutral? Does it matter? That's kind of what's your attitude about it. All right, subjective norm. Hunter, you got it? Keontae, you got yours? Who else? Somebody with a book, hit me. There you go, Morgan. It's on 137. Oh no, you got a bad one. Subjective norm, you got a whole paragraph.
Beliefs about whether people will approve or disapprove of the behavior, motivations to behave in a way that gains their approval. The product of normative belief multiplied by motivation to comply.
Okay, we all want to fit in, right? As a general rule. Some people don't. Some people want to be different. But most people inherently, as humans, want to fit in, which means that they want for people to, especially key people, as it had in this statement, you want key people to approve of your behavior. So you got to think about, what's my mama going to think? Is she going to approve or is she going to disapprove? Like, real talk. That's the kind of thing that you're going to think about. And then, well, if you know that they're not going to like the behavior that you're doing, how motivational is that to you to change in order to gain their approval? So that matters. So, do you agree or disagree that most people approve or disapprove of this behavior? You have to think of it in that terms. What would most people think about what I'm doing? All right. Perceived behavioral control. Who's next in line that has a book? There you go.
Belief that one has and can exercise control over reporting behavior, product of control, belief multiplied by perceived power.
Okay, this stuff is kind of deep, so I try to break it down to a degree. This is basically, do you believe that performing the behavior is up to you or not up to you? Do you believe it is something that you actually control? Some people think that they just can't control it. It's beyond, I can't do it. If that's the case, it's going to be harder to reach that person than some others. If they don't feel that they're the one that is, that it's up to them, the behavior that they're doing. Just saying. Behavioral belief. I'll do this one. Evaluation of the likelihood that performance of behavior is associated with certain outcomes. We all know that. If I get up and go jogging every day, is my cardiovascular function going to improve? Yep. That's basically the evaluation of the likelihood that performance of a behavior is associated with certain outcomes. If I stop smoking, I'm going to save money. If I stop smoking, I'm going to breathe easier. If I stop eating so much, I should lose weight. It's all these things that just, if I do this, I expect this to happen. That's your behavioral belief. How likely is the behavior to produce the outcome that you need and want? I know this stuff's kind of dry, y'all, but this y'all are kind of getting to read a chapter. This may be the first chapter that y'all have kind of read, some of you. So we're gonna get through this together using the book. Where are we? Evaluation of behavioral outcomes. You have to think about how positive or negative the outcome of your change, positive behavior change would be. How much of a change would it be? How positive would it be? How much does it mean to me to make the change? That's kind of what you're looking at. And that's going to make a lot of the decision for a lot of people. If it's not going to be a big change by doing this, then why do it? Is what a lot of people would kind of think. Motivation to comply. Motivation to do what each personal contact person wants. Are your friends and family motivators? That's kind of the key on that one. Are your friends and family motivators for you? Why? Because you want their approval. You want their support. You want them to know that you're doing your best. All those reasons are why that's there. Okay, control belief. Who else has a book? Tell us what that is. Somebody who hasn't read yet. We might be through. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Perceived likelihood of each facilitating or constraining condition occurring.
Okay. A facilitating condition is something that helps you along. A constraining condition is something that's going to stop you from being successful. So what's the likelihood as you perceive it, or the patient, the client perceives it? What is the likelihood of a facilitating or constraining condition occurring? Like, how many roadblocks do they think they're going to hit, and how many bonus stars are they going to hit that helps them get where they're going faster? You see what I'm saying? Like, some things are just going to work in your favor. Some things are going to kind of hold you back. So they're going to think to themselves, what's the likelihood of things standing in my way of being successful with this? Perceived power. The perceived effect of each condition in making the performance of the behavior easier or more difficult. Do you feel you have the power to overcome obstacles? That's kind of the question that they are asking in this certain part. Do you feel, if this is an internal question, and that may be an exact question that you would have to ask someone as being that leader, do you feel like you can do this? Do you feel like you can actually stop smoking? Do you feel like you can lose 20 pounds? Do you feel like you can get up and exercise even on days when you don't feel like it? Ask them serious, straightforward questions. Okay, normative belief. Last one, I'll just knock it out. Perception of how much each personal contact approves or disapproves of your behavior. To what degree do your friends and family influence you again? That comes into play a lot. How much does it matter to you what other people think? Big variety in the people that you'll be working with. Some people couldn't care less what people think about what they're doing. Some people are really, really worried about what other people think about what they're doing. And that's going to matter with how easy it is to motivate or coerce them into doing what's best for themselves in this behavioral health change. So, some social cognitive theory components. Table 8.8. It is on, okay, I like this one. It has potential change strategies. That tells us some things that we can do. Okay, so reciprocal determinism. What that is, it's the interaction of the individual, the behavior, and the environment in which the behavior is performed. And when I'm saying the behavior, we're talking about something that you need to change for the better, to improve health, to improve that client's state. It's that dynamic interaction of the person, what they're doing, and their environment where the behavior is performed. So what we can do as a recreation therapist, you consider multiple ways to promote behavior change, including making adjustments to the environment or influencing personal attitudes. Sometimes that might be through education. You know, I talked about how sometimes we need to give statistics or education on healthy choices, things like that, that may help to sway someone to, it might influence their personal attitude about whether or not there needs to be a change. Okay. So, all right, behavioral capability, what is that?
Knowledge and skill to perform a given behavior, knowing what to do and how to do it.
Okay, what can we do to help those people? You can tell us that too.
Oh, with strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Promote mastery learning through skills training.
So we may have to break down things, teach them some new skills if necessary. Do they have the knowledge that they need to make a change? Do they have the skill to make a change on a given behavior? Do they know how to go about, changing their healthy lifestyle, if that's what we're talking about? Expectations, I'll do this one, it's short. Anticipated outcomes of a behavior. That one's kind of common sense. What we do, model positive outcomes of healthful behavior. When someone sees model behavior being effective, that's going to be kind of lead them in that right direction. Self-efficacy, we talked about that and we know what it is. That's confidence in one's ability to take action and overcome barriers. Self-confidence is what it comes down to. Self-confidence. They believe that they're going to be able to take action and overcome barriers, either self-enhancing or self-hindering. They're, your self-efficacy or your thoughts about yourself can be hindering if you're sitting there. If we all talked about, we know that we got like an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other. Which one's talking louder? If the devil's over there saying, you can't do this, you're going to fail. If that's talking louder, then that's what we're talking about. That's the self-hindering, where you're self-sabotaging yourself by letting those negative thoughts get in the way. And that's what you don't want to happen. Plays a central role in the self-regulation of motivation. How motivated someone is going to be has a lot to do with how successful they feel like they can be with what they're doing. If they don't really think they can perform an activity or perform something, they're not going to be overly pumped up about it if they don't truly believe that they're going to be efficient at doing it. What we need to do in this stage to help them change, we approach behavior changes again in small steps to ensure success, and we're specific about desired change. We don't leave it vague. We're specific about what we're addressing, and we break it down into small, reachable steps. And that's important, like we talked about, because then success, 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 success. And then if we have a failure, it's not going to set you back that far because you've been successful 4 times. Hey, this isn't a big deal. We're going to get right back on the horse and let's go. Self-reflectiveness. Okay, Mr. Ross. Self-reflectiveness, page 140.
Metacognitive ability to reflect upon oneself and the adequacy of one's thoughts and action. Being self-reflective is a precursor to being self-efficacious.
Yeah, so what we have to do, we consider the pros and the cons of certain actions and outcomes. I should have just let you read that part because that tells you what this one's all about. But I wanted you to try to say self-efficacious and metacognitive. That was, so I wanted you to read that part. I thought that might be fun for everybody. Observational learning, that is also known as modeling. So what is, and I'm not talking about, modeling on the runway. What is modeling? What am I doing if I model something for you? Demonstrate. I show you how to do it. I tried not to do it. I talked about how I used to do golf lessons. There were so many times that's not the place to do this necessarily, but this modeling thing. Because you need the person to get, muscle memory and things like that. There were so many times that I wanted to just say, just watch out. This is how you do it, and just get up there and just do what I was, rather than tell them and explain to them and go through the intricacies. I just wanted to show them to model it, but it doesn't work that way in something that has a lot of complex steps. But modeling can be very, very much positive in what we're doing. So what we can do as a recreation therapist is offer credible role models who perform the targeted behavior. Say, see what Sally, Sally's been here for 6 months. She's been doing what I'm talking about. She's lost 30 pounds. And you told me you wanted to lose weight. So just think about that. She's a good person to talk to. She can tell you the roadblocks, and you're setting them, you're giving them a model to kind of look at that has been successful, which is going to give them confidence. And then reinforcement. What is reinforcement? What's another word that starts with an R that equals reinforcement? Reward. Thank you. That's basically all it's about. Responses to a person's behavior that increase or decrease the likelihood of reoccurrence. Now that's getting what we want. Well, both cases. If we're trying to decrease, like stopping smoking or drinking or something like that, that's a case where you give a reward for a decrease. There's also cases where if someone exercises more, you want to give them a reward for doing more of that activity. So what you give as a reward, whether it's just a, hey, good job, I'm proud of you, or you earned, depending on, at the regional center when I worked there, we had a thing called the token store. And they could do certain things that were positive, that were meaningful, that they'd been asked to do. And if they were effective with what they were doing, they earned tokens. And, once they got a certain number of tokens, they could come to the token store and buy things that had been donated to the store. There was perfume, there were caps, there were magazines, there were all sorts of things in there that they liked. and they could spend their tokens on it that they earned as reinforcement for either doing a behavior that was asked of them or not doing a behavior that's inappropriate and they were asked not to do. So they could earn tokens or reinforcement either way. That's a good way of thinking of the reinforcement part. Okay, this model right here is very similar to what? That trans-theoretical model? Yes, it's, if you think about it, it's just broken down. It's written a little differently. Let's see. Table 8. All right, table 810. Let's go through this, and I want you guys to, each person that reads, I want you to just do the whole row. So we're going to talk, this to just give you a good example of this precaution adoption process model stages. This is just another model. This is several models. Listen, I like the way. I hope that you all did well on the test. Again, nobody told me a whole lot. What did y'all think about the test and the way we did it with sending it home? Fair? Was that, huh?
Very much like it to be that way for the next test.
Yeah, I mean, that's what,
Did you hear what he said?
no.
I'd like it to be that way with the next test.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I probably would like it to be that way for the next test too. If we can do that. That's my goal, okay? And that will help you significantly on this chapter, okay? But I wanted y'all to see this stuff and be familiar with this stuff and see where, hey, I can go to these tables and go to these charts and find these answers about these models, okay? I don't care if you remember the name of these models when they're all done, but you need to remember the premise behind what they are, you know. So this one, let's talk about the precaution adoption process model and the stages of it. Again, very similar to that trans-theoretical model that we talked about. Stage 1, someone is unaware that they even have an issue. Mr. Horn, let's go. The description.
Pre-awareness of a health hazard, example, not knowing that excessive drinking may cause liver damage. Example, never heard that sunscreen is needed before being in the sun. General communication strategy, develop multiple sources of information to make available to the individual.
Okay, can y'all see where that would be a possibility? I mean, especially, let me tell you, when I worked at the NMRC and we'd take our clients to Special Olympics and we'd be outside all day, if we didn't put sunscreen on them, some of them were gonna die. Slight exaggeration, but I'm telling you, like, they wouldn't put on sunscreen. They didn't know they needed sunscreen, and I'm not being mean and I'm not being rude. I'm saying they had not the slightest thought about needing to protect themselves from getting burned by the sun. So we needed to, you know, once some of them had been burned once or twice on accident, they might come asking for some sunscreen, but we need to explain to them, hey, we got to put the sunscreen on. I don't want you getting burned. It won't feel good to you and I'll get in trouble. We don't want that, you know. And it's true, because you bring them back and they're all fried up, and you were the one in charge of them. You don't really want that to happen. So that's a very good example. Some people don't know that excessive drinking causes liver damage, or that, what else can cause liver damage? Anybody know?
Overuse of pain medication.
Yep, like NSAIDs, or harder pain medication even. But just like taking Aleve, taking, you know, Advil, ibuprofen, like on the regular, it's hard on your liver. See, some of y'all might have been unaware of that. and just pounding the lead every day. We don't want that. So now we've helped you today. We want to get you through stage 1 and down to stage 2 if that's a problem that you're having. So with stage 2, unengaged by the issue. All right, Miss Asia.
Description: being aware of the health hazard, but not yet considering whether he or she needs to do anything about it. Example: never thought about using sunscreen. General communication strategy: materials need to be compelling, personalized, and easily accessible in our.
Okay, that last part she just said a lot. There's several words in it that I really like. The materials need to be compelling. They need to grab your attention. It needs to be something that relates to the person. You know, it needs to mean something when you see it. It grabs them. It needs to be personalized, something that they see as being related to them. It doesn't have to have their name on them, you know, but it needs to be something that they see as relating to them. Easily accessible, obviously, and digestible. Written or given to them in a way that they can actually process. Another word for digestion, kind of when we're talking in a mental capacity. All right, let's go next. Let's go to stage 3. Somebody, whoever, I don't even care. There you go.
Description: making decisions about what, if any, experts protecting regarding the health behavior, often held on to the slight additional information. Example: undecided about using sunscreen. General communication strategy: materials and instructions should provide facts and compelling arguments about behavior change.
All right. So we're at the point where they're trying to make a decision. At this point, we need to be, as a recreation therapist, as a leader, as an advocate for them, we need to be compelling. We need to give them some motivation for positive change. And boy, they're having a hard time with this sunscreen. Whoever this is, they need. We're really having to go through a process to get them to believe in sunscreen. But might be the case. I've known some people that are very anti-sunscreen. I'm not one of them. I'm probably getting burnt right now from that light, but I'm just saying. Stage 4. Oh man, this one's not cool. Who wants to do stage 4? Courtney does.
Decision to be made to drop out and not engage in the health promoting behavior. Example is to decide not to use sunscreen.
Oh man. And it doesn't even tell us what our general communication strategy is there. We just struck out. This person just said, I'm getting a tan. I'm over it. I don't care. It happens. Sometimes that's going to happen. We can't force people to do things they want to do. It's just like if we offer an activity and we want them to come out of their room and come join us, and they say, no, I'm not coming. You can say, oh, come on. And they say, no, I'm not coming. And you just go grab them by the arm and drag them down. No, you don't do that. We can't do that. We can only help them. We can motivate them. We can push them in as positive a manner as we can, but we can't make them do it. We can't make them act. If somebody says, look, I'm not using sunscreen, and they're not like a vulnerable adult where we have to make that decision for them. If they're of sound mind and eligible age, they can choose not to do it. You know, that happens. And I like that they included that in here because it's something that, you know, a lot of times it's all butterflies and roses and we talk about how we're going to fix everything and we're going to do this and we're going to make them, we're going to motivate them. And this is going, sometimes they're going to hit stage 4 and you're not going to be able to do anything about it. And it's not your fault. It doesn't make you a failure. And it doesn't need to make you not like them any less. I think I said that right. You need to not change your opinion of them just because they've made a decision, if possible. Even if you know that they've made a decision that may not be in their best interest. All we can do is guide them and try to help them when it comes to these health behavior changes that we're trying to promote. Stage 5, decided to act.
Decision made to opt in and engage in health promoting behavior. Example, decided to use sunscreen. General communication strategy. Materials and instructions should include full disclosure about options for acting, how this is to be accomplished, and the consequences of each option.
Okay, good. They decided to buy in, to opt in. They're going to do this. That's partially because we've given them compelling, personalized, and easily accessible and digestible information about sunscreen and its benefits to them, right? That was up above, and that's how we worked them down there. At this point, we're going to give them full disclosure about options for acting, how it's to be accomplished, and the consequences of each option. Like where we're saying, I'm glad that you're choosing to do this. You shouldn't get sunburned now. You're cutting your risk for melanoma. I hope you continue to keep doing this. You know, something like that. Stage 6, acting. I'll take it. Carrying out the intention to act, performing the health-inducing behavior. In this case, they use sunscreen regularly. So we need, if that's happening, we give support for initial and subsequent actions. And what that may be is maybe we've got an extra bottle of sunscreen laying around and they've bought into using it. We give them their very own bottle. Or we tell them, hey, I'm proud of you for listening to us and not getting burned. I know you don't want to get sunburned, so thank you for taking the time and thinking about this and doing what's best for you. That is us giving them support for what they're doing. And that, you know, that could be the difference in them sticking with it and stopping, you know, the amount of support that somebody gets. Stage 7, maintenance, continuing to carry out the action, performing the health-inducing behavior for a period of time, and we need to provide support for the maintenance of new behaviors, supportive atmosphere that aids continued success. So if they're using sunscreen now, we might want to, and we've got a pool at our facility, we might want to put up a sunscreen dispenser on the wall. That would be supporting their action of being healthy. Okay. Thank you guys for your assistance with this chapter. We have gotten through chapter 8. Again, Deshaun, you made it through it. This is not our normal class. Usually we do some sort of activity. We don't usually read out of the book like this, but I thought that was the best way for us to get the most out of this particular chapter. I hope it wasn't too terrible for y'all the way we did it, and I hope that you actually remember. And this will help y'all. Listen, when you take the test down the road, what we did today is going to help you find answers that you'll need. So remember, we do things for a reason in my classes. The next chapter is going to be about problem solving. My intention is to hopefully, now I'm going caving this weekend with my 7-year-old and 5-year-old. Should be quite an adventure. Not sure how much time I'll have to grade. I would like to have your tests graded and bring them back to you. No, I actually probably will not. I'll probably give them back to you a week from now. Because I've got one test that I have, the person's out of town for a funeral, and I'm not going to get it until next week. So I won't be able to probably give them back. Not sure what, that being the case, not sure exactly what I will put on people for. I don't even think I have to do midterm grades for 300 level and above classes. If I do, I'm not going to give anybody worse than a B. And if you have an A or a B on there, don't complain. It's just, I'm just going to have to put, if they tell me I have to do midterm grades, we haven't done a bunch in here for me to grade you on yet, really. So if you've been here most of the time and you seem like you pay attention and you're staying awake and things like that, yeah, I mean, most of y'all will probably get an A for midterm. Okay. Just letting you know, it's not gonna be based on a ton, because as you know, that's not, our first test isn't even gonna be on the midterm, the way it panned out with that snow week. That was the difference in that. Go over the next chapter, next class. You're free to go. Thank you. Y'all have a good day. Deshaun, let me yell at you before this next class, okay?